Hello everyone, so what are we here to talk about today? Well, I have it in my hands, Vinland Saga. So a really good series, I just got into it, and as if you guys watching my manga buying videos, to show which mangas I support each week, I have been recently buying the Vinland Saga. The first volume was decent, it was okay, but I think the second volume is where it shined. I got super into it, and I'll just tell you the highlights of my first impressions. So, first of all, the first volume was a lot of backstory, a lot of initial setup of the world and the characters. But then the second book really explores that world. We have that one of the main commanders, Askeladd, I think. I wrote down his name. Askeladd, I think is how you pronounce it. Basically, you find out he's actually a descendant of Alexandria, which of course connecting characters to real life people in history is always very interesting and like hypes you up for it because you're like, wow, he's an Alexander descendant. That's what's something that's used in even like Japanese culture uses that a lot of time, where the family connections between the Japanese society means very important. Like I'm the son of this, I'm the son of that, my grandfather did this. In different cultures that has a higher priority, but even in the Western culture, I think we can understand the importance of that type of lineage. Like, oh, Alexander the Great, this guy's gonna do something, and then the conflicts with Askeladd and his Nord men, where I'm really confused what he's going to do, because he says he doesn't like the Nords, but he has a whole band of Nords. And then is he going to betray them and kill them all? I don't know, because Askeladd he's always thinking, he's always planning, and we just don't know what he's thinking. And he's just a really crazy guy, never has any emotion. And yeah. So I'll talk about some things I liked. If anyone reads the series, if you remember the monk was introduced in, I think, Volume 2. And he's one of my favorite characters. My favorite character is basically, he's a drunk monk. Some of his sayings is like, they ask the monk, which gods do you think are better? Do you think, like, Zeus and the Nordic gods are better? Or do you think your Jesus is better? And he's like, whichever one invented alcohol. And he's a Christian, so he just says like bizarre things like this sometimes. He's a drunken priest, and very interesting character. Basically, he's trying to explain the concept of love to the Nords at one point, and they're like, what is love? Is love like the brotherly bond we have with our brothers? Like, I will protect my brother's back no matter what. It's not worth silver, because he was talking about how love has a value that transcends silver. And he's like, that's kind of love, but not really quite what love is. That's kind of like a desire, and there's something there, but the monk's like, nah, that's not love. That's not real love. So then they explain a story about Thor. Yeah, Thor, father of Thorfinn, the main character, who we know that died in part 1. It was foretold. It's not really spoilers. We know he's going to die from the very kind of beginning of, he dies before you know who he is. So, not too much of a spoiler. But basically, Thor, or Jor, I forgot his name. I'm going to call him Thor, basically the father of Thorfinn. And they were telling him how when he came to beat up Askeladd's crew, basically he only used his fists. And so they were telling him the story to the monk, and that he never injured anyone. And he died in that fight, even though he refused to injure anyone. He was able to kill everyone there. Like, if he wanted to, he could have killed every single one of Askeladd's men. But he decided not to, and he's like, is that love? The man who said that a warrior does not fight with a sword. And the priest is thinking about this, and it really makes him think, because he's like, wow, even in life and death, this man refused to harm his enemies. And the priest was like shocked. He was like, I think that's because that was his realization. Like, that's true love. That's loving your men. That's loving human society as a whole. You love your enemy. You love everything as a whole. Thorfinn's father, obviously, was just such a great man. And it was so sad to see him die. So sad. And then we have also some more parts in the Volume 2 where it goes back to Thorfinn's sister, where she's trying to cope and she's trying to be the man of the family after all the men have left the family. And she's hunting whales, she's doing all this badass stuff, and then she just breaks down and cries, and I almost had a tear running down my face. I was like really hurt by that, especially like she was trying to simulate work instead of going into a slum. And in my opinion, I think that's the most healthiest way. That's usually what I would do, is I would substitute work, and I would probably just work and do a bunch of work to keep my mind off whatever's troubling me. And so that really connected to me deeply. So So yeah, besides that, a really good series. Like, I am really enjoying it. The first volume, I was like, yeah, it's okay. Second volume, I'm like, hyped as hell. I love the new characters introduced. Of course, we have some more about how the Nords, at the end of the volume, the Nords break into a Christian settlement. And before you see these Christian guys, you see their family, and you see them connect to each other. And basically, the Aslan's soldiers come in and they just raid and pillage everyone, killing everyone. The Christian monk is basically like, you have to kill everyone. I think after hearing about Thorfinn's father, he was very moved and he wanted to find love again. So yes, that happened. But they killed all the villagers. They raped and pillaged all the villagers, anyways. And they don't see anything wrong with that. Obviously, they're Nords, they're Vikings. This was just the matters of the time. They had to survive. If they let anyone go, they could have won a different army, and they just couldn't take that risk. And it's understandable. Like, I probably would have killed them too. Like, I would have killed everyone. It's understandable. You're in war times. You can't just take everyone's food and expect them to be like, oh, we're not going to tell anybody. just pillage our village. We won't tell your enemies that you did that. We won't tell them where you are. So they kind of had to kill everyone, unfortunately. And you can kind of understand Aslad's reasoning for it, even though it's like horrific. I understand why he did it and why he made his Nords do that. But then the question is, Aslan said he hates Nords. So does he hate that he has to do this? Does he hate that he has to do this to survive? Does he hate that that all of this raping and pillaging is going on under his command? I don't know if that's the part he hates about it or what, or if he hates the honor-bound fighting. I don't know. I have to know more about his character. But he's a bloodline of a great man, so obviously he's going to be a key role in what's about to happen. So other than that, we got introduced to kind of a main enemy, Thorkel, who's so funny. I love his character. Basically, he joined the English side because he was bored. He was tired of winning, so he joined the other side so he could lose. And obviously, just a badass character. He's so strong. He has connections to the main character, Thorfinn, because apparently him and his father fought, and that was the only one who could beat Thorkel, which is a giant of a man, very brute strength, and the main character was able to cut off his fingers, but it was kind of out of play. I don't think Thorkel was really trying at that moment. So a lot of shit's going down. Then we have the prince that's not really a prince, more like a woman. Like, his appearance is of a woman, but he's still a guy, so he's a very not talkative, very shy, very beautiful man. He's going to be taken advantage of. Aslan wants to take advantage of him to start some turmoil, to change the dynamics, the politics of that society. So a lot of plans, a lot of twists, a lot of things are happening, all in the second volume. Of course, huge book. Really recommend you picking it up. It is really great series. Really great. So I have no idea where it's going from here, but I basically talked about the sum of the series and my highlights and what I loved about it. And yeah, I think that's all I really need to talk about. So if anyone likes Vinland, if anyone's as passionate about it as me, please discuss in the comments below. I really love this series. Recommend anyone to read it. And thank you everyone, and goodbye.